Namaskar.
Yeah,
Good
please.
afternoon. Happy New Year to you all. And welcome to 61st webinar of Think Tank on women breaking the barriers. And today we are fortunate to have the General B.K. Mahapatra to be amongst us. I welcome him to preside over the webinar. And also I welcome Dr. Vijaya Mishra to moderate the proceedings. Carry on, please. General Mahapatra, please.
Samastunko Namaskar. It's a wonderful thing to happen, and in the early of 2021. So a very, very happy New Year to all. Today we have got the 61st webinar of Think Tank in this pandemic, which from adversity we have converted to opportunity. We have amongst us, we have already got about 40 participants, and out of them there are a number of students are there, people of Mukta Chintan, Think Tank, and various other educational institutions. So we have got variety of people, and particularly our emphasis today has to be what messages we want to give it to the young people. I'll speak later, but first and foremost, I request all of you to keep your video on. All participants, my request to you, please keep the video on so that we can see you. We can see each other. The participants can see who the panelists can see who are the participants, how is their body language. Are they smiling, frowning, or what are they doing? I see D.K. Rai sir is smiling and laughing. That is a good sign. So please keep your video on and the speech mute. Only when you are asked, kindly unmute. Otherwise, the host will do the muting for all the people except who are supposed to speak. So first and foremost, I request Dhirendra sir to give the opening remark for this important webinar. Over to Dhirendra sir.
Namaskar. Shall I start?
Yeah, please, go ahead.
I hope so. This doesn't have to do anything. Okay. Thank you very much, General Mahapatra, who has always been so kind and he has been supporting the think tank all this while, and that is why we are at such a stage. And I must say that today, particularly, this is a very unique opportunity and a proud privilege for me really to extend a welcome to all of you, very distinguished people today. And this particular seminar webinar has been at the initiative of Mrs. Vijaya Mishra, who is one of the founding members of Think Tank. And she has given the topic, which we have all suggested also that it is a very appropriate topic. For a long time, we have been discussing about the normally the issues of development, issues of science, issues of knowledge. But I think today we will focus on the persons. So that is how we are today thinking that we will have the breaking the barriers, the women who are supposed to be really leading. Today, I don't think there is any gender equality is the question. It is gender superiority when the women have now taken the leads. And today, particularly, we find a galaxy of really distinguished women who have really broken the barriers and have done much more than the gentlemen have been able to do. And I'm sure I would like to extend a very, very warm welcome to all those who are participants in the seminar and all the members and friends of Think Tank. And we know this subtopic and this really those who are speaking today are very unique in the sense we are all looking forward to it. And I'm sure that in spite of all that has been happening about the gender equality and all, obviously it's a really kudos to them who have really come to the top because they have not only against the, what you call it, social intellectual and other handicaps, they have already ignored and left behind, and they have crossed the barrier. So today we will welcome to all the distinguished guest speakers today and those who have really broken the barriers. And I think they must, as General Mahapatra has already set the ball rolling, saying that we would hear to this, and the younger people must take a cue from them. Those who have come, starting from the pioneer here, Mrs. Premada Mahanti Hasmadi. She has been not only pioneer as in age, in knowledge, and in so many spheres that she has crossed the barrier. It is not only starting from culture, art, and science, and so many things. So I would not really, it's not my day to make a speech or anything. I just will very, very warm welcome to you on behalf of the think tank, to all those participants and all those who will be speakers and participants and all guests who are there. As General Mahapatra said, I am told that there are a number of students and others also who are other educational institutions also be looking forward to it. So let us see. I will not speak anything because I will just straight go to the topic, and I will just extend my warm welcome. And I'm really proud to have the privilege of welcoming all of you, very distinguished people, starting from Dr. Premada Mahanti Hasmadi. And I would not like to waste your time taking all the names. So I welcome, very, very warm welcome to all of you. And let us think tank go ahead with the experiences and your ideas and your suggestions, which will be really for the next generation. Also, it will be, I think, it is not our day. The day is for the future. And we request you to please say how you have reached this position and what would you like to tell others, and how they should go and how should break the barriers and jump the barriers. So thank you. I think I would leave it now to the chairman to go to the next stage. Voice.
Okay. We are very lucky to have eminent panelists. Normally, we have 2 or 3, but this time we have got 5 eminent people. The time allocation is 7 minutes for the panelists and 20 minutes for questions and answer. The question and answer is a very important aspect because the young people are there, particularly the students and others. So therefore, I request 7 minutes. At 6 minutes, that will be a little very polite reminder. Somebody will be giving it on a bell. So kindly after that, you have 1 minute, we will go ahead with that. The first and foremost, I am going to speak first as a chairman, not at the end, so that I give out my thought and what we expect out of it. The first and foremost, why this subject has been chosen. Why have we chosen this particular subject? What is the reason? What is the reason? The reason is very, very important and valid. And few statistics I'll give in the beginning. Even though our female population in India is 48.04%. 48, let's say 48. But out of that, how many people are literate? I've taken the latest statistics, it is only 40%. And in the rural areas, it is very pathetic. Urban areas, little better. Next comes employment. You'll be surprised. It is 19.9%. It is only 19.9%. Look at the vast majority of women are not getting an opportunity. Next statistic is health. Precarious. Ladies, female health care is in a very bad state, particularly for the young girls at the birth and the pregnancy time. So these parameter statistics, even though we have improved a lot, but still it is insufficient. So therefore, we have to focus and give opportunity to the female so that they can come and contribute. They have tremendous talent. Now, what has happened to India as a nation, as an Indian, we have lost out for last 1,000 years or so. We have lost out because we have not utilized, we did not have the resources, particularly the women, the talent, opportunities. We did not give them. And the second thing is our caste system. Look at what is the percentage. 40 is the women, and look at the other castes who were deprived of the education and social status. So India as such, we have lost out because of this. I would say 1,000 years, there's a particular reason, I'll give it out, how it is 30 years, 1,000 years now. If we go back, whenever we want knowledge, we want buddhi, we want jnana, where do we go? Whom do we worship? Saraswati. Saraswati. And when demons are there, catastrophe is there, and tyranny is there, which cannot be controlled by Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwar, whom do we go? Priyambada madam, where do we go? We go to Durga, we go to Kali, we go to Bhairavi.
We had the best. We had the best portfolios in God's cabinet.
Absolutely. So that's what I'm saying. And Indian mythology and Indian culture, we have this thing, but have we given them the opportunity? I'm quoting this Saraswati, Durga, Kali, all these things we are saying, but we are not implementing it. We have lost out. I'll give it. When we are talking about it, my mind goes back to the Vedic times. What was happening at that time? Look at the names which come. Ghosa, Lopamudra, Indrani, Vedic time. Upanishad time. Sulabha, Maitreyi, Gargi. Middle Ages, when Adi Shankaracharya was moving from South India to the North India, whom did he meet for a debate? And that debate was with Mandan Mishra. And there had to be a debate, somebody has to be a judge. And who was the judge? Who was the judge? Whom Adi Shankaracharya selected? None other than Bharati. And who is Bharati? Wife of Mandan Mishra. Look at the status. And what was the AD? 700 AD is Adi Shankaracharya. So after that, we come to 1,000 years. The first name which comes to my mind is Savitribai Phule, 1831. That is the first time we are hearing about a lady coming up and education for the women, followed by Mahatma Phule, Maharashtra. And thereafter, there are many people. Savitribai Phule, this is education. Then Kadambini Ganguly. Then you have Begum Jafar Ali, Durga Bhai Deshmukh, Mahadevi Verma. These are the names comes to mind as education. Social, you have Mother Teresa, our own Ramadevi. Then you think of entrepreneurship. Kiran Majumdar, Priya Paul, Indira Nuri, and Suchitra Mukherjee. There are so many entrepreneurs are there. Scientists, you will be amazed. I've got a long list of the scientists. So many ladies who have contributed. So many ladies. The first name which comes to the mind is Janaki Amal, Asima Chatterjee, Aditi Pant. I think Madam Priyambada will probably remember these names. And many more. And the only person from Odisha whose name is in the scientific thing, whose name is it? Priyambada Mahanti Hesbati. You are the only one whose name is in that list. So Why are you doing it? All I'm saying, the Nari Shakti is there. We have not utilized them. And I would say, when you are speaking, what are the barriers you have crossed? What are the barriers you have crossed? How did you overcome all these things, obstacles? The obstacles like from the family, the relatives, the society, and the work environment, etc., which were there. How did you manage to focus on that? What are the obstacles which were there, and how did you get over it? How did you manage it? You people have shown, you people are icons, you people are role models, you have shown, and legacies in your own time. You have shown what is aspiration, what is tenacity, what is determination, what is focusing on the goal, what is the fighting spirit, what is tolerance and management skill. How you have managed all these people. And last, not the least, is the indomitable spirit. That is where you have succeeded. So my suggestion, a request to you people, when you speak, please tell us what barriers were there, how did you break it? And what is the message you want to give to the younger people? That is what I will say. And there are three people who are born in Odisha. Now, one is 1930, one is 1932, one is 1935, all young girls. They have broken a big barrier. They have broken a big barrier. They have set up a new thing. The so-called Odissi dance, which is there, for which Odisha is famous all over the world, would not have happened. I won't give out the details. There is probably one panelist who may be able to throw some light how the barrier was broken. With this, I request our moderator, Srimati Mishra, please go ahead and conduct the meeting. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you. And namaskar to everybody present here and Happy New Year to all. I'm very happy that a topic like this has come up in the new year. This webinar today by Think Tank Odisha is possible by initiative of convener Sri Swedesh Sundar Das. He long ago told me, Madam, we have so many subjects, but we have not any discussion on women empowerment. So, but I didn't give it a thought. But when Sri Vivek Patnaik a few days ago repeated the same request, Think Tank didn't have a seminar earlier on topic related to women issue, I sincerely tried for it and got hold of all the eminent ladies. Now, it was not, Sri Vivek Patnaik was not only my classmate in Ravenshaw in the beginning of our college days, but he was a great friend of my husband. And we'll be discussing on several matters till very late at night. So when he requested me, I can't say no. He was our family friend when he posted in Bargat for training, and my husband was STO there. Now, about the topic, the topic women breaking the barriers came to my mind since from my long experience of working on women issues, I have felt women have to cross barriers or many hurdles in different ways, and when they try to meet some goal. They try and they come up. Like me, after 35 years of teaching physics, obtaining PhD in solid-state physics, postdoc in biophysics, at the end of my career, I realized the fact that when I was posted as principal of the largest women's college in the state with 4,000 girls and we got autonomy. I got totally involved with girls, women and all. And somehow I got involved with their personal lives also of my college staff, students, colleagues, and realized many of them, they opened up before me and they have to face difficulties. Particularly, I got involved with students of a special hostel, that is Indira Gandhi Hostel, for SC/ST girls who had come to Bhubaneswar with very high dreams, but they found its constraints everywhere. I visited them regularly, trying them to bring to the mainstream. And one of them, at last, I was successful in making her the president of college union. But she was so poor, she said, Madam, I have to leave my study here because I can't afford to go to university. So I paid her some money for admission in Utkal University, but she said, Madam, I frankly, sometimes I think it would have been better if I would not have studied at all. Because when I go to village, there are so many restrictions I have to obey. And I think I shouldn't have known all these things happening here. So this is how women, though they come up, but they are there facing difficulty. So because of this, I thought, I got involved with them. So just after retirement, I started my research on the topic, breaking the barriers, higher education of ST girl in Odisha. This included a chapter, Facing Odds. That was a huge thesis, of course, which depicted the economic constraints, the social constraints, the cultural constraints, and the institutional constraints, with all documentation from different places. It took me 10 years to study all these, with 3 major research projects from UGC, ICSSR, but I didn't stop my research and published a book on the subject. And finally, I completed the lead degree in women's studies from physics. I changed to women's studies because I felt for them. And all eminent ladies present here have seen me working hard in university. All are present, all they know me well. I have worked with them. And I am happy they are here. And I met them for different real experiences. Hence the topic came to mind, women breaking the barriers. Now we'll start our webinar. And the first as our general has already declared, in PR 5 sub-themes we have at different fields, what are the barriers, and they'll talk on that. First, I request our senior most, my teacher in science and technology, Padma Shri Professor Priyambada Mahanti Hezmadi. But before allowing her to talk, I'll just speak a few words about her. She is an exceptional achiever who has received highest national awards in 2 different fields. Padma Shri for her contribution to science and technology in 1996 and Central Sangeet Natak Academy Award for Odissi dance in 1986. I was her direct student and she was my role model. Till now I'm following her. And when she joined Ravensa, but she left for University of Michigan, USA, as a Fulbright scholar and completed MS and PhD degree there. On her return, she joined Department of Geology, Utkal University. She continued research, had many publications in reputed journals, and was conferred with Padma Shri by Government of India for her contribution to science and technology, for her research on olive ridley sea turtle. She was also awarded honorary DSc by Ravensa University. Professor Mahanti Hezmadi was the first lady to be appointed as Vice Chancellor of Sambalpur University in 1995. With her effort, the Regional Museum of National History was established in Bhubaneswar. She visited 20 countries and appeared twice in WTO on behalf of Ministry of Commerce, Government of India. Apart from science, she contributed significantly in the field of culture and has 3 authoritative books on Odissi and Gotipur dance to her credit. Madam, what more I can say about you? Now it is time for you to talk to us and we will listen. Thank you.
Well, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And I'll start with a very happy new year to all of you. And it is a pleasure to be part of this deliberation. With Bhaina, who has been a well-wisher from my very childhood. And then Vijaya, one of my favorite students, who not only excelled in education, but also has shown the way about how to utilize one's time in in favor of the society and the downtrodden. Vijaya was one of my students in ISC, and I still remember how bright she was, and she has maintained a high standard, set up a high standard for all to devote their life after the career for better things for women. Now, I would start with my background because I think it matters in my case. My parents were freedom fighters. My father, Bhagavad Charan Mohanty, was an engineer, left his job and became a contractor and became a financier for the independence movement. Actually, a letter from Surendranath Dwivedi when he was underground was intercepted by the Britishers who wanted to arrest my father for, sponsoring this independence movement. They arrived at night and started searching. And my father was not there. My mother and my grandmother took all the papers that were in the house and burnt them. When I got up in the morning, we saw heaps of these papers, burnt papers. Then coming to my mother, she was an exceptional woman. She joined the freedom movement with encouragement from my father, but revolted when my father called her a murkha because she had studied up to class 3 when she got married at the age of 14. She took exception to this and resolved to continue her education. Since my elder sister was almost appearing in matriculation, she didn't want to compete with her. She got her high school certificate from Banaras Hindu University. This was God sent for me because she took accounting and typing and introduced me to typing at a very young age. As you know, even now I am active in my field because I learned my typing from my mother and I could migrate to the computer age. Thus, growing up in the spirit of independence and defiance, no pressure to study well, but solid ground in art and culture, brought in unexpected dividends in my life. I became a scientist. Science has underrepresentation of women, as you know, everywhere. There are attempts to encourage them. And the Women in Science panel of Indian Academy of Sciences brought out a book called Lilavati's Daughters, where they had the biography of 100 of us who are fellows of Indian Academy of Science. One thing emerged is that all the girls who had achieved this was where education was given a high priority by the parents. So parents do matter in this. And of course, the book is inspirational. It is supposed to motivate girls to take up science. And the authors considered Lilavati of 12th century, the daughter of Bhaskaracharya, the ace mathematician, as the first scientist, and therefore called it Lilavati's Daughters. I'm glad to say that I saw this as part of the question in Kaun Banega Crorepati when Amitabh Bachchan asked, what subject is this book on, Lilavati's Daughters? And the smart lady connected one to one and said science. Then, of course, this was followed by another publisher, the Dhruvan Publishers. They cater to young ladies, the motivational writing for the young ladies. They picked up this book, selected 33, out of which I am one of them, and then asked us to recast our life stories to be attractive to the teenagers, and we did. Then in my article in the Lilavati's Daughters, where I have named this The Amazing World of Life Science, I have narrated my unusual route to science. I was an average student, more interested in athletics, music, and dance, Raina knows. When the time came for serious matters like choosing an optional, I was totally lost. This is humor to it. My maternal uncle, the famous botanist Hariyar Patnaik, and my brother-in-law Gopal Chandra Patnaik, who was a philosophy lecturer, they did the homework and found that there are 2 subjects in which nobody fails in matriculation. And there are art and music. And since I was dancing and I was never serious in studies and doing music, singing, so I took music as optional. Then I did surprisingly well in matriculation, and there was no restriction in those days. I and got admitted in the ISC class in science, and I wanted to be a lady doctor. When I passed ISC, another block, there was such a thing. I don't know if it is there now. That's the minimum age to be admitted to a medical course. Dr. Mahapatra is nodding, he must know. So I couldn't get admitted, he's saying yes. And then I took zoology honors and continued my BSc as a cooling off period. Then I got a chance to visit the anatomy hall with my friends who were already in the medical college. And when I went in, I got totally nauseated and I threw up and came home, said, "Bolo mo doctor hai pari." So I continued my MSc in zoology. But again, I had to go outside Odisha because in those days, there was no MSc in zoology in Odisha. So I went to Lucknow and came back, joined as a lecturer when I met Vijaya as a very sweet, young girl, very bright girl. And after a few months, I got a chance to go to USA on a scholarship and went and joined University of Michigan. And this was the time when, you know, the famous double helix had been cracked by the famous Watson and Crick, and life science was catching up with the physical sciences. Until then, it was sort of like a low class stuff and all that. Then when I got
Time.
6 minutes.
Time.
Is it 6 minutes? What is he saying? 6 minutes. Okay. Then I did my
reminder.
Then I came and I joined Great Britain and started zoology department, developmental biology laboratory. Here we discovered something which is known as the homeotic transformation, which means switching one of the organ into another. And this was for the first time in any vertebrates. This was published in Nature. And I'm happy to note that Utkal University Zoology Department has the GI tag for the discovery for all times to come. Then, of course, the largest rookery of olive ridges was discovered in Orissa. And this meant several scientists came to my laboratory and wanted to work on it. And I had one good luck with Dr. Marie Diamond, and we worked with olive ridges. With the Prime Minister Indira Gandhi being interested in their protection, we got tremendous grants. Money was flowing like anything, and we could do very, very world-class research on it. And with all this, I got the Padma Award in Science and Engineering for this work. Then come to switch to administration. While I was conducting an interview, IAS interview in actually Delhi, I got a call from Mr. S.K. Menon, Secretary of the Chancellor, that you have been selected as the Vice Chancellor of Sambalpur University. Please come and join. Well, I came. By now, notice, I want all of you to notice that I thank all the men who selected me. See, these breakthroughs have come to us, I am admitting, because of men. It is the attitude of men which make us succeed and do what we want. I thanked all the men, joined there and became part of history. Now it is my pleasure to see, Vaina, that when I went on that untrodden path, which I broke, I see 3 vice chancellors are sharing this forum with me. See how it has progressed. Lastly, since students are, listening to us,
well, has been sounded.
So I can say to the students that if you want to succeed in life, first go and read a book called The Alchemy of Life, where Paulo Coelho tells you that if you want to do something, if you really want to do something and seriously, the whole world conspires to get it done for you. And that has been partly true in my life, because I nearly had no intention of becoming an educational. Well, I have left out dance on purpose because dance left me after my matriculation, but I have continued my interest in terms of the publication and all, which is a sort of like relaxing. So all I can say is that it has been wonderful to be a part of this forum, and where we are asked to say something about us and how we went to achieve whatever we have. Well, I won't consider these as achievement. I would consider these are gifts of well-wishers and God. Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam. Your inspiring speech will definitely inspire the students who are going ahead now in their life. Thank you.
Madam, may I just butt in a little?
Yes.
I mentioned sometime that 3 girls were born in Cuttack in the 30s, how they broke the thing. I was expecting one of the panelists to give it. And these 3 girls were from respected family, and the social taboo was, Bhadra gharara jhio mane onyo mananko samnare nachibe? Ki lajjar kotha. Ki lajjar kotha. E balunga. Bahai paribeni. But these 3 girls, with the support of their parents, and these parents, one is Bhagavat Mahanti, then Basanta Das, Academy School, then Hariyar Mahapatra, Pare Judge Hele. These 3 people, they are the people, these are names by the thing, you'll be surprised. Minati is Mini, Sumitra is Mini, and Priyambada is Mini. So all 3 minis got together and they broke the barrier. This Odissi dance wouldn't have come, wouldn't have been possible if these 3 girls, supported by their parents, had not broken the barrier.
Thank you. I would just continue once. The one thing is that in his autobiography, your father, Justice Mahapatra, has mentioned that these 3 minis from the aristocratic families, Erundi Bandha Denkiri, Nurtya Jagatare Pravesh Kale.
Correct.
I just repeating it. What a way to put it. Well, we did it for fun. We are known as 3 minis of Cuttack. And the parents said, if you want your daughter to dance, name the mini.
That was the joke at that time. That was the joke. I just want to request the other panelists to kindly give us what obstacles came, how did you break the barrier? That is the type of thing we want to listen. Like this is taboo, like that all the panelists, this is my request. What difficulty you had, how did you break it? And the message to the younger people. Thank you. Moderator, please go ahead.
Now, our second panelist is Professor Madhumita Das. She will speak on brushing the in resource management. What are the hurdles in resource management? Professor Madhumita Das has just retired from challenging post of Vice Chancellor of Fakir-Mohun University. She is related to me. So when she decided to go for geology, we are all surprised. Why you choose such subject, geology, knowing fully well how difficult it is for a girl to go for field visits, stay in camps, climb rocks to collect stone sample. But she proved herself. She said, no, I'll go for it because his father helped her, inspired her. Anyway, so She proved herself, and her area of specialization is igneous petrology, industrial minerals, and environmental geology. After having 37 years of teaching experience at Utkal University as lecturer, reader, professor, finally she was posted as Vice Chancellor of Fakir Mohan University. When I was doing research in women's studies at Utkal University, she was head of the Department of Geology as well as Director School of Women's Studies for some time. So I used to visit their Department of Geology from time to time and seen what a beautiful museum of geology she has built up with fronts from Rusa. She has carried out research as DAD Fellow under Indo-German Exchange Program at Heidelberg University, Germany. When she left for Germany, we were very worried how she is going alone. She has to study German language, but she did it. She has presented her research work in several countries as convener and university delegates in Japan, China, UK, South Africa, and so many other countries she has gone. Presently, she is the Vice President, South Asian Association of Women Geoscientists. She has supervised 1 DSc and 21 PhDs and 21 MPhil candidates. She has written 7 books and chapters in books to her credit. Besides teaching geology, she has interest in gender studies and popularizing science among school and college children. So I now request Professor Madhumita Das to speak on our subject.
Namaskar. Am I audible?
Yes.
So a very good evening to all the dignitaries and a happy new year to all the participants. I have been given a subject like natural resources management. So, but also I will just speak something about how I crossed the barriers. Personally, I should say that I will rather changed. There is no such thing like breaking the barriers or breaking the glass ceiling. Rather, I have changed my dream. All women should say in that line that there will be no obstacles in our life because we are determined and we have that capacity to break all the barriers, and we can chase our dreams and we can achieve whatever we aspire for. That will be my message to the young students who are with us today. Now I will come to how women and environment, they are joined, or these two words with all the themes that has been given in today's webinar: society, education, science and technology, environment. Each and every word is neutral. They are gender neutral. But why the women we have chosen these topics, I will try to focus on that. If you see that we have to nurture the nature. When we misuse nature, when we overuse or exploit nature, and we throw all the sorts of waste into river and oceans, we exploit them, we destroy them, because the things, the environment, the nature cannot speak. The environment cannot raise her voice. That is why women and environment, we can have a resemblance. Women are exploited, misused, overused, and beyond their capacity. And because women cannot raise their voice, they suffer silently. That is why women and nature can be seen similar to from certain angles. That is why, if you remember, each 5th of June, there is one that we celebrate World Environment Day. And in 2014, the theme for World Environment Day was raise your voice, not the sea level. So I think time has come through these sort of deliberations, these young students should be inspired, should be motivated to raise their voices, to get their rights and the basic fundamental human rights, right to education, right to health. Each and every child should get it. Now I will come to a slightly a historical part, how women and civilization are related. Women are considered, I do not know whether male will agree with me, but it is a fact that women are considered to be the architect of human civilization. Before the civilization, the humans, we had a nomadic life. So we used to stay at one place, and when with all the resources are consumed or exhausted, they moved to another place. But at some point of time, when men used to go for hunting, the women, they used to look after the family or the children. So when they are from the dump to waste food, one day they saw germination. So saplings have come up from the huge food waste. So the idea of agriculture came to women first. Then they thought, why not we will plant these trees and then we can stay at some place. That is the history how civilization came into our this earth. So coming back again to how women got importance or got related or linked to environment, it goes back to 1992, the UN Earth Summit, which emphasized on the women's role in conservation and protection of environment. Because women have the inherent quality of sharing, of caring, of nurturing, and usually women do not waste. So that particular aspect or the quality of women always have linked to environment, and then protecting the natural resources, be it anything, be it soil, be it water, be it forest, anything, be it fuel. So women have that capacity to protect the natural resources and not overusing it or waste it. Now I will also give you some, I have heard of so many bright examples of women, including our Priyambada madam, but also I will talk about the S.L. Bahuguna, who was the pioneer of Chipko movement, and it was only by the tribal women only. They could protect the forest. And then also the very famous Kenya's Green Belt movement, it is also only by the African tribal women. And also we have the Narmada Bachao Andolon, which was led by Medha Patekar. And also we have the People for Animals, looking after the stray dogs and stray animals. It is also being pioneered by Medha Patekar, sorry, Maneka Gandhi. And then we have the new concept of ecofeminism. It has come from Bandana Siba, who always says that marginalization of women and the destruction of biodiversity go hand in hand. So Bandana Siva also is a pioneer worker who joins ecology with feminism. Recently, I came across one news that I will come to the conclude with how women can play a important role in waste management. So recently I saw a news that a cow was operated in Tamil Nadu which had 52 kgs of plastics in the stomach, and it was removed. All sorts of Maggi packets, the Parle-G packets that were there. So when we see such sort of news, it is the most important fact that how to protect our environment, our surrounding from this waste management, be it domestic waste, be it municipal waste, be it our kitchen waste, and all the industrial waste. So only, and when we come to the recycling of waste, always we say that yes, a waste is a waste when you do not waste it, and waste is to be recycled. But how much waste is recycled? Okay, I am conscious. Everything goes into the ocean, the rivers, and we pollute the environment. But now the environment has also raised our voice through climate change and through global warming and through tsunami and so on. So lastly, I will conclude giving one example to the young listeners that we all know that below the Earth's surface, the coal remains at a very shallow depth. Coal is a very sedimentary, porous rock, very light rock. But the composition is carbon, only carbon, C. That C, when it is subjected to very high pressure and high temperature, and it occurs at a greater level, that C turns into diamond, shining, dazzling diamond. So, my dear young friends, challenges will come in your life. Change the challenges into opportunities. It is your option whether you want to be coal or a diamond. I am sure all men and women, if we try, we all can dazzle and shine like diamond, and challenges will be there. Don't bother about it. ये ना कहो पूछो मुश्किलों से कि ये ना कहो खुदा से मेरे मुश्किलें बड़ी हैं, मुश्किलों से कह दो मेरा खुदा बड़ा है. Let us all inspire and motivate the young students, and then we will have really a shining India, a digital India, and with all the persons having equal opportunities, both men and women. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Madhumita. Most important thing you told the students, that to convert your challenges to opportunity. That everyone should remember, not only students, for us also. Now the third panelist speak on tradition and culture is our newly appointed young Vice Chancellor of Utkal University, Professor Sabita Acharya. Professor Sabita Acharya, please.
Good evening. Namaskar. Am I audible?
I'll first congratulate you, because I have not yet congratulated. I was just when I'll just tell a few words about you. And Sabita, before reaching the top position of Utkal University, she has occupied many administrative posts. So when I congratulated her, I said, it won't at all be difficult for you, because you have worked in so many administrative posts and you have already proved yourself. She was like chairperson of PG Council. She was director of College Development Council. All important positions she has been. And also member syndicate, coordinator, international office, etc. She was everywhere there. She is a professor of anthropology. That is why I requested her to speak on barriers in tradition and culture. She was head of Department of Anthropology and also director School of Women's Studies for 4 years. And luckily, she was the director when I submitted my delete thesis. And also, when I appeared for my Viva books, and I was very nervous because with a strict external K. Niruparani, former Vice Chancellor, Andhra University, when she came, I was surprised to see she was carrying my fat thesis in her handbag. And then she took it out and pointed or underlined in every chapter to explain. So I am grateful to, I remember how she was carrying this. And I am grateful to all, Sabita, Madhumita, Asha Madam, who were all there. That is why I could complete it. Now, Sabita, Professor Acharya, I should say, was postdoctoral Commonwealth Fellow in Oxford University, UK in 2002. She chaired and presented papers in many international seminars already in different countries like Poland, Brazil, UK, China, etc. So many countries. The 6 students have been awarded PhD under her, and 60 MPhil students under her. So her research work continues. She has written 8 books and chapters on books to her credit, and now she is holding the post of Vice Chancellor Utkal University. We hope she will take the university to a greater height. Sabita, we wish you best of luck for this. Now, speak a few words. Please unmute yourself.
Yes. Thank you, madam. Good evening to everybody. Esteemed participants and esteemed stalwarts who are sitting in front of me, who are attending the webinar. And each one of you is a stalwart to my mind. Each one broke the barrier at different times, during different stages of life. I have broken barriers during my entire life and entire career. And then as an anthropologist, I always study the culture, and I have given a focus on tribal culture, where the status of women is always high, position of women is always high, and they give more importance to the women population. And today's topic, that is breaking the barriers, I think in every country around the world, women face multiple barriers and constraints and gender-based discriminations in the workplace. The discrimination sets in early from the kind of education girls get until which age to the kind of work they are challenged into. So in both private, social, public spheres, women face occupational segregation and multiple barriers like lack of access to land, capital, financial resources, technology, as well as gender-based violence due to cultural mindsets and stereotypes. Ours is a patrilineal society, but as anthropology says, matrilineity preceded patrilineity. Previously, it was the mother-dominated society, and mother was the decision maker, and she owned all the property, and the transfer of property was from mother to daughter. And then patrilineal came. So there are many obstacles which made it harder for women to get an equal footing with men in the world of work. Women in a man's world that is, just a minute. Women in the man's world, it is a showcase of exceptional women who are breaking stereotypes to change their own lives and inspire other women and girls around them. So in our society, men have been dominant as interpreters, transmitters of divine messages, while women, they have largely remained passive receivers of teachings and ardent participants of religious rituals. So there are attitudes which have developed around the patriarchal interpretations of religious belief, which have defined and shaped the social and cultural context of Indian women, resulting in their disempowerment and second-class status. In India, particularly, where politics uses religion as a tool to manipulate the masses, women bear the brunt of consequences of cultural attitudes and the impact of religion and politics in their particular milieu. So over centuries, women have had internalized the patriarchal construct. They have been comfortable with just a little space that has been given to them. In Indian society, Indian family structure, we all are facing the same, that women do not demand more, and they always adjust with the other male members of the family. So languages, the symbols, culturally conditioned interpretations of religious scriptures have evolved a practice which have alienated women and have been influenced exploitation and violence towards them. Women belonging to any religion have been facing religious and cultural discrimination in our society. Although many steps have been taken for the women to enter temples, like Shanigarh in Nasik, abolition of triple talaq through pronouncement, which we still see the prevalence of discrimination against women. So even in tribal areas, the tribal and rural women, they are reported for the witch hunting practices where women are mostly the sufferers, where the women are always blamed to the witch and they kill the other people, they kill the women as they say that it is a social practice, but it is not a social practice. So Millennium Development Goals are the most broadly supported, comprehensive, and specific development goals which world has ever agreed. All 8 MDGs touch upon the different aspects of women's well-being and in turn, women's empowerment, which is very critical for achieving the goals. Women have multiple roles in society. At any given time, they can be mother, they can be leaders, they can be students, decision makers, farmers, workers, voters, and now many women are the administrators. The world needs women leaders, from running organizations and institutions to running countries. Gender equal leadership will lead to a more inclusive and effective society. Even though women enter the workforce in relatively equal numbers as men, the rise to the top can be slowest and harder for the women. Okay, I'll take 1 minute. With the global talent shortage at a record high, that is almost double, and that is of it is a critical to say that it is all potential talents in this era, they are of high skills, shortage and low unemployment. So gender equality and women's empowerment are central to achieving MDGs, because without these capabilities and opportunities, women are less able to reach their potential and live a life of dignity. So a lack of women leader at the top cannot always be attributed to lack of female talent. Many women feel blocked from senior ranks due to all male lines of succession. So breaking this line of succession requires reversing stereotypes. For example, social consciousness needs to stop labeling law, engineering, and accountancy as male jobs, with HR, advertising, and communication being seen as female jobs. But now this barrier has been broken by many different female. Just today in newspaper, I have gone through the news that 3 top police IPS lady officers, they have transferred many times due to their toughness. So, for example, in United States, women comprise only 18% of the computer science graduates. And organizations and institutions need to ensure the job vacancies which can attract a wide range of diverse talent from all groups that can have access to the future. So the time is over. So let us all face all challenges. It is my it is a message to all my young students and young colleagues that let us challenge the status quo and create truly inclusive and supportive environments where women can excel and constantly achieve their full potential. So they can be the leader, they can be the role models, they can be the interpreters of social values. So you and we all can take steps that are possible in our ways. So it is a challenge that Professor Madhumita Das, she told that it is a challenge. You should convert the challenge to opportunities. So trust our baby steps today will surely become the big strides tomorrow. Thank you. Bande Utkal Janani. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Sabita. You told the right thing. I remember we had a seminar on women leaders, change makers. If women leaders will come up, will be strong, definitely society will be changing and will be much more, we can prove ourselves in the place. Thank you. Thank you for attending to our invitation. Now in our panel is Aparajita Chaudhary, who is Vice Chancellor Ramadevi University, recently appointed, to speak on education. Aparajita. Aparajita Chaudhary, can you focus on her?
Yes.
Yes, Aparajita, welcome. Welcome to Think Tech.
Thank you.
Now I remember I have seen Aparajita in London when she just went for Commonwealth Fellowship for research.
Yes.
And I was wondering, so young a girl, how she will stay here alone and all. She was a family friend, of course. Now, Professor Aparajita Chaudhary has recently been appointed as Vice Chancellor Ramadevi University. Prior to this posting, she was professor and head of the Department of Home Science and Dean Faculty of Humanities and Social Science Department, Berhampur University. So all along, her career was in Berhampur University. She had her master's degree in home science from University of Madras, and she is the first PhD degree holder in home science in Odisha. Congratulations, Aparajita. She has received 4 international awards and fellowships, such as Commonwealth Academic Staff Fellow, London, Fulbright Fellow at University of USA, ICSR, an annual social science scholar in Netherlands, and dad academic exchange program in Germany. And she received Young Investigator Award from the Foundation Zurich, Switzerland for her postdoctoral research. She has also major research project of UGC and National Women Commission. She has supervised 12 PhD and 1 DLiT scholar. She has published 10 books and many research papers and visited more than 11 countries in academic and research connection. Her research interest includes early childhood care in education, youth, family and gender studies, and elderly issues. So I welcome you, Aparajita, to this gathering. And you
A very good evening to all the esteemed members of Think Tank, and a very happy, healthy, and a safe New Year. So at the outset, let me thank the Think Tank Orissa for inviting me to this August webinar, where the students, the young and the old guards are there to give us the direction. For me, crossing the barrier has already been done, and before us, the role model like Padma Shri, Priyamvada Mohanty Hezmadi, and Madam Vijaya Misra is there. Because I'm heading a university, the main founder of this university is Madam Vijaya Misra. Because of her efforts, now this college has become a university and here. So the barrier has already been crossed. Now the next step is when before us, the role model like Madam Hezmadi Mohanty and Madam Misra is there. So before our younger generation, who will be the role model is very, very important for us. We do have a lot of challenges to cross these barriers, but the individual effort, dedication, and the role model like before, right now in the panel, we have 2 members, Madam, and so we could able to cross our hurdles. There were a lot of challenges, and challenges are many in terms of whether it is a social class, whether it's the gender, whether it is the attitudinal problem, whether it is the cultural stereotype things, and even the discipline is also a hurdle, because I belong to the discipline of home science, and the attitude of the society in general, and especially in the education field also, the subjects also sometimes creates the hurdle. And I have crossed it personal level and reached this stage. But before I talk about my personal experiences, because Madam Madhusmita Madam and Priyamvada Madam has already mentioned about it, because I have been assigned to talk on the women breaking the barriers in the field of education. I will focus more on the higher education. And in this context, it is very, very important to know how the women participation in the higher education, especially in terms of the enrollment is there. So I would like to share my slides in this context so that it will be easier for the viewers to understand and get the perspective. As I said, the women, the breaking barriers in the higher education, I'm going to talk on that. So there are very many challenges, especially for the women in the higher education. Mostly the stresses associated with the work and the family roles and responsibilities, career interpretation, interruptions in between, the family attitudes, cultural stereotyping is also one of the most important barriers for the women to elevate, alienation from the male culture, and continued resistance to women in the management positions, and the most importantly, the propagation of the glass ceiling syndrome, which has privileges, covert criteria for the advancement. So these are the most important challenges every women, those who have reached a higher education scale, so they have to pass through it. Because unless and until we understand the barriers, we cannot show the direction to the younger generation. So how to cross over and how to make yourself ready to cross these barriers. So this is the present statistics which I would like to show you. This is the All India female gross enrollment ratio has risen now above the male gross enrollment ratio, which presently stagnated at 26.3, especially in the higher education. And women in India who enrolled in the higher education, so it has in 2017 and 18, so it has sharply risen. So these are the data I would like to show you because it will help us to understand how the women are enrolling themselves in the higher education. Because I'm not talking about the school education or secondary education. So this is mostly the data is about the higher education. So this is the key results of the All India Survey on the Higher Education 18-19. This is a recent trend. This gives you a picture of the enrollment in higher education has been estimated to be 37.7 million with 19.2 million male with the 18.2 million female. Is neck to neck is there. And female constitute about 18.6% of the total enrollment, and the gross enrollment ratio for male population is 26.3, and for the female is 26.4. So this is very important to note that we are crossing the gross enrollment ratio in the higher education, crossing the male. So that is very, very important. And another important feature is the ratio of the male in the higher is higher than the female in almost every level, except MPhil, postgraduate, and certificate, and even also in the PhD level. So that is also a very encouraging trend which I wanted to. And in MPhil courses, nearly 70% of the students are female, while the PG, they account for 60%. So it is here I would like to say now, especially in all over India, the trend is that in the university campus, you see more number of women or the female students than the male students. So this is a picture. Another interesting thing also I would like to say that all India level, there are nearly 73 female teachers, where the students are growing per 100 male teachers. So still the male teachers are there more in higher education. Male non-teaching staff is only 40. So I will not give more data on this, but one thing which I would like to show you that especially in terms of in Odisha, the gender gap in Odisha higher education is falling. So this is what I would like to focus on. It is strikingly slowing, but it is more or less like all India thing. But especially in the gross enrollment ratio in the state higher education has been deep and jump from 20% in 2018 to 20.5 in 2009. And the gender parity index in Odisha is 0.82, whereas in all India level, it is 1. So here also is a lagging behind. So I will just want to show this particular picture diagrams where the student enrollment projected in the higher education is in male and female. So you can see this is the projection. So the trend is really good. So you can see. And these three important points I would like to say, although we have crossed the barriers and we are enrolling and participating in the higher education, but what is the reality of higher education government in today? Is feminine leadership a valid concept with when application to the higher education context? So we need to really ponder over, and when you think of we have crossed it, but for the sustainable development, for maintaining our the status. So we need to really think, how does cultural diversity impact upon the management practices and the role of women in the area? So really we have to think in these 3 points. And in conclusion, a way forward of change, I can say that we do have a more opportunity need to be provided to women to be obtained in the very executive positions. We have reached the position of Vice Chancellor, but still we need to have that executive position. And for that, I always feel that what is required is a common vision of social and human development, which is shared by both men and women. And this new partnership between the men and women in dealing with the present and in shaping the future of our personal and public agenda is most. So we need to have a gender neutral approach that yes, women are doing, but without the support, consent, acceptance of the male partner, it is very difficult. We need to have a hand holding with the male partner to have a sustainable developmental goal. And thank you very much for your kind attention. And I thank Madam and all the panelists for hearing from me. Thank you very much, Madam. Thank you.
Thank you, Aparajita. You spoke very well about giving this statistic because it was a part of my thesis also. But I was very happy to learn that in MPhil and in postgraduate, now the more and more girls are coming, which were not there earlier. Everywhere, the number of girls were less. Thank you for giving this statistic and explaining so well. Congratulations, and you'll go ahead.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Madam.
Thank you. Now, at last, Professor Asa Hans, another respectable role model for me. Professor Asa Hans, can you please, can you focus on her, please?
Yeah.
Namaskar, Madam. Professor Asa Hans, what I should say, when I requested her to send me a biodata, she sent a biodata which was only 2 lines. So I said, Madam, you have sent only 2 lines. She said, that is enough for me. But I and my husband were great friends of ours for the last 20 years. I know her very well. So whatever I knew, I wrote down and I thought I will introduce her in my way. Thank you, Madam, for being here. I am in women's studies because of Asha Madam. Because she inspired me. She showed me the way and I walked on. When I entered Utkal University, started my first UGC research, she suggested, let us have a seminar and invite all people who have done work on tribals and written books and also some government officials. We had a big seminar from which I learned record. I will be always grateful to you, Asha Madam. And now Professor Asa Hans, she will speak about society. She is Professor of Political Science and founder director of School of Human Studies in Utkal University. A great work she has done. She is founder chairperson of Sanskriti, which she didn't mention in her biodata, but I have seen Sanskriti. I am one of them in Sanskriti. An institution for original research. She is engaged in research now also on gender with focus on climate change, peace, disability issues. She is director of SMRC, this also she didn't mention, never. Santa Memorial Research Center, Rehabilitation Center, which works relentlessly for rehabilitation of persons with different types of disability. I've seen the institute, I've seen how people are getting cured there. Many disabled persons have been benefited by the institution. She was Vice President, Indian Red Cross, Orissa branch, and has done the great of things that also she never mentioned. She has published many books as outcome of her research. At present, she is engaged in research on women and issues of peace and conflict, migration, climate change, and disability. Her forthcoming publications, Migration, Workers, and Fundamental Freedom, Road Day 2021 in February it will come, and Endangering Climate Change Learning from South Asia, that is also Road Day 2021 in March it will come. We are proud, madam, to announce that she is a member board of UN Women's Peace and Humanitarian Fund in UN. So when she visits New York, she never forgets to telephone us. I am in New York and attending the meeting in UN. So we are proud to have you with us today. I welcome you. And now you can speak about society.
Thank you, Vijaya madam. I think when I come to think tank, the only thing that I can think of is Vijaya ma'am, and what a wonderful couple she and S.P. Mishra made. My thanks are so much to both of them, because if you think in Odisha, anyone, when I think of a wonderful two people who bonded so well, two people who made this world so much better, it is these two. And I'm thankful to them for being part of my life, able to bring out what I do to some extent in a better way. And for many, many years, this has been, she has been one of the people whom I've leaned on and who has supported me whenever I needed her. There are many people like this, as Ras said in the beginning, who have had some kind of influence on you. Beside all of you who are here, when I came here, I told Vijaya ma'am, I said, why are you calling me? You already have so many vice chancellors on this panel, and I'm not a vice chancellor. But you know, there are always things in life that happen that steer you towards what you're doing. And one of them, for example, what Premdas said, my mother was a great influence. We are partition people who came from Pakistan. And Vivek Patnaik is here. He knows that I have been with the Pakistan India People's Forum for Peace and Democracy for a number of years. And I was the chair also of the India chapter for a number of years. So peace has been part of my life. And this is what my mother taught me. It's not my parents taught me. It was not the fight with Pakistan. It was the love that we have and affection for people that mattered. So this was also the fact that my years at the Jawaharlal Nehru University also built into me the love for research, what Vijaya ma'am was saying, that if today I do what I do with love and affection, and that came from my work at JNU that I have done. My brother had a disability. He had an accident. Some of you knew him before he died. And that is why my movement into the disability field and working with women with disabilities in the last few years at a very, very, both at the rural level as well as at the United Nations. My own work started in the 1980s when there was a liberal movement across the world on women's issues. That was the time in the 1980s and 90s when we all thought of democratization, we thought of women's equality. And this is what should, where the students are concerned, should be very proud of. That the women's equality movement for 10 years, for 15 years was really at the top of its world. And today we are celebrating 25 years of the Beijing Platform of Action. In 1995, I was at Beijing where we talked about women's equality. And today, what is women's equality? If you look at women's equality, we are passing through a phase globally where there are undemocratic regimes, there is cultural extremism, there is a destruction of the open media, there is very little freedom of speech. And this is bound to tell on women. So when you think of 1995 and the Beijing Platform of Action, you think of equality. But what is equality? It's between men and women. And what I talked about, Vijaya ma'am and Mishra, it is that affection that you have for each other. It is that equality that you give each other that matters so much. And one of the reports that came out 2 years ago said that it will take 217 years for women to be equal to men if we really do it in terms of quantitative analysis. I don't do quantitative analysis. I do a lot of qualitative work and believe that there are ways that we can overcome those hurdles. But there are something that you students can do. And the first thing that can be done is in terms of work. COVID has taught us that we have to have equality of work within the home also. It's not only outside, it is also within the home. The statistics say that women do 297 minutes of work in comparison to 52 minutes of work by men. So for the men students who are there today, please come forward, join our hands, join us to work in the kitchen, to work in the household. So that is equality. Equality is not those statistics that they give us. And then the second, I would really, this is something that breaks my heart. And I don't like to talk about it, but I think students can end violence against women. 87 rapes per day. If you have, while we are talking, there must be 2 or 3 rapes by now. You heard of the Nirbhaya, the people who are hanged after Nirbhaya case. You have heard what has happened in Badaun yesterday. When a woman says, who's an institutional head, says that women should not go out at night, Gandhi said that India will only be independent when women can walk the streets of India at midnight. So let us not forget those things that have been said and that we should look at. If there is a 7% increase of violence against it, you have young disabled girls, I work on disability, 10 to 11 years old, who are done, hysterectomy is done, so that if they get raped, they don't have children. And this is done by parents. There is, when I was doing my migration work that I'm doing at the moment, I look in certain groups like domestic workers, etc. One of the group that I came across were women who were working in sugarcane fields in Beat, Marathwada in Maharashtra. And the way to make women work more was to get them to do hysterectomy. You remove their wombs, they will not have children, they will not have menstruation, so they work more. But when COVID came, no one remembered them. So we have to remember the sacrifices that women have made. We have to see what we can do for the transgender women, for the women who are sex workers. They're not there to enjoy themselves. They're there because they need money, they need to work, their families need to eat. So if Nirbhaya was hanged, we do only hanging of people, 32% of conviction. Let us make it 100% of conviction. It is you children who can do it. And I'll end with this, that we have to be equal when we think equally. We can be equal when we work equally, hand in hand, all of us, men and women, boys and girls, all of us. And I'm thankful again to the think tank and to all of you. And I'm glad to see so many friends here today, and also to Vijaya Madam. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Asa Madam. And your speech is always inspiring. We feel that why we are not equal, why we have to work more hours, women have to work more hours, why they have to. These things again comes to my mind. If we speak, there will be another time. So thank you for joining us. Now the discussion is open to floor. Any question to any panelist? And the first requested me, the person is Swadesh Sundar Patnaik. He is requested to speak first. Then others are there. Sanghamitra also wanted to speak. Swadesh Babu, you speak first. And it's open to floor now.
May I intervene? Let us allow questions by the young students first. And it is already 6:30. Our time was up to 6:30. It is already 6:30. So therefore, we limit our questions to 3 questions only. After that, still we have got concluding, etc. So therefore, I request the students to be given the priority for asking questions. Any questions from the students? Well, if it is none, then 2 minutes, people, other 2-3 people you wanted, who wanted to speak, Mrs. Misra, kindly go ahead.
Also, first, Swarup Sundar, and past you tell Swadesh Babu.
Yes. I am there. Thank you, madam, and congratulations for your selecting the topic, that is women crossing the barriers. It's a beautiful topic, actually. I was listening to the panelists here and also General Mahapatra, and then I remembered my mother, and she was an old lady, and then she had never seen our village mela or gone to the temple because she could not, she was not allowed to cross the Erundi Bandha. Erundi Bandha, Professor Hajamdri said this. She was not allowed to cross the Erundi Bandha. And once she told me that she did not see my father's face in the daytime properly till her first baby was born. So this Erundi Bandha and Odhona, that is the physical barrier. You have left it long ago. That is one thing, that is the progress, that I am only listing out the progress of the women. That is one. Second thing, the psychological, social barrier. Somebody has said about the stereotypes, social stereotype, like Jio Janama Paragharku, like Dalal Nari Helapari, like Obara Durbala, such type of thing, like Jio Mati Handi, Pua Pitala Handi, all these stereotypes, you have come across with that also. I think to some great extent you have come across with that. And then there was this arranged marriage based on Jati, Jautuka, and Jataka. This, if somebody is lucky, then you will make a love nest. If you are not lucky, you are only a bar in the case. So that we have also to some extent crossed it. These are the crossing the barriers. I am only listing out what are the barriers we have to some extent crossed it. And then, but I wanted to point out 2 things that you have not crossed at all. That I wanted to peg these 2 things. One is the hypocrisy or the male mindset of young people. Young people means the young husband, the young colleagues, the young peers, the young boss, and the young subordinates. These people, suppose I am the husband. I want that my wife should be smart, savvy, fashionable, and modern. But she should be smart before my friends, but not before my parent. She should be traditional, docile, submissive, all these things. This is my hypocrisy as a young husband. Similarly, my wife can go any steps ahead, but I am the boss of the house. She should be the bread earner. I am the bread earner. She should look after the child first, look after the family first. This is another hypocrisy that has to be crossed. Third thing is, well, I am a husband. I must be taller than my wife. I must be aged than my wife. I must be a position higher than my wife. I cannot work under my wife as a subordinate. That is another mindset. And fourth one is perhaps, there are so many things, but one of the things is, if a girl gets a promotion out of turn, progresses very rapidly, then I think, I always, one of the young man thinks that perhaps she got into this promotion because of some dubious manner. She charmed somebody, not out of merit. These are the difficulties. These are the male mindset that no woman has, that has to be crossed by the women.
Time, please.
And of course, the work-life balance. Work-life balance is most important. One has to realize that women, everybody has got the multiple work, but women's work is conflicting work. multiple and conflicting. All these things, how they will address this, that is the thing. You have all crossed, madam.
Time, please.
Now you have to think of how to address this. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Swadesh Babu, for pointing out the problem. Now just I will request Sanghamitra Mohanty to speak a few words. She told me she wants to
May I
speak.
request all things must finish within 5 minutes. We still have concluding remarks.
Thank you, sir.
We do not have
Good
time.
evening, everybody.
Others who want to speak, please write in the chat box so that she can, host can unmute you.
I like to sum up my thinkings. I like to jot it out and tell it in a very short manner, rather pinpointed manner. What I was listening to the stalwarts of women. Madam Mohanty first, she has to tell about women, science and technology. She herself is an institution. So what I followed from her speech, that knowing your own origin or surrounding, that is self, is really woman, and we are able to do that. And presently, when I link it to the technology, we see that artificial intelligence is a buzzword, and women are doing it much early. And the women can work in different places applying their intelligence, because the next generation of research is going to be done on distributed artificial intelligence. And they maintain security, they are very conscious, their senses are active. So all the advanced field of research are being performed by women. Madhumita madam has told about the COVID, as the environment.
Madam, I must intervene. Kindly, our time is up. Yes. We do not want somebody. I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry to interrupt. We have to close the thing. We have to close the thing.
We have to see, so and finish it. And in this way, everybody has expressed their mind about that purpose towards becoming efficient by breaking the barriers. But in my opinion, women are more efficient as they know how to swim against the stream. Women have worked 5 times more than men. It is already being mentioned. So let us not wait for opportunity to come. Let us move forward and jump the hurdles and be a successful personality, so that the world will stare and glare at us. This is my message to the...
Okay. Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
I'm intervening.
Thank you, Sanghamitra.
Now we'll go over to the concluding. No more time. There is no time left.
Another Vice Chancellor among us, Sanghamitra, was Vice Chancellor of Odisha University.
So
now, Mr. Mollai Mishra wanted to speak a few words.
We have no time, madam. I'm sorry.
Okay.
We have no time now.
Thanks for...
I request Mr. Vivek Patnaik to give the concluding remarks, please. Mr. Vivek Patnaik.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Today we have heard some excellent speakers, and I do not want to comment on what they have spoken, but I wish to mention that when the think tank meeting started, Mr. Sudhanshu Mishra, who was the president of the think tank at that point of time, he used to invariably request me to introduce a book. Today I thought I will introduce a book relating to women, published recently and written by Melinda Gates, The Moment of Lift. I would not go into the book in details because of shortage of time. And I don't know how long I'm supposed to speak.
5 minutes.
Oh, very
5
good.
minutes, sir. 5 minutes.
I've got another 4 minutes to speak. So this book contains a lot of materials on the subject of women's empowerment. I will commend to everybody. You can see, the book. I say it to you, and this book is really recommended. On this occasion, I'm keeping the tradition of S.B. Mishra, and by just introducing this book, I'm not giving the content of the book because time is short. While on the subject, I would like to mention Asa Hans, who has suffered a lot in her career. I know her. And she raised a very fundamental point. That the world is now gripped with many kind of dictatorial regimes. You could see that only other day when the violation of the Congress in the Capitol Hall took place. How the president of a country can encourage what you call desecration of a
separate institution. So if this is the trend, we have to be very careful. You see, United Nations has passed a number of resolutions for protection of women. There are international conventions for women. Right to marry, the choice of the spouse is that of a woman. And we know very well how it is happening in India. There are Khap Panchayats, and of late, there are laws which have been enacted to prevent a girl of a particular community to marry a boy of another community. This is a serious concern. I think we should be very clear in our mind that we should lift ourselves above our height and see that each one of us has to protect. I like very much the statement made by Lona Nayak. I think she's a girl who said each queen must put the crown on the other queen. That women themselves must fight for themselves. Thank you very much. These are the words of conclusion of mine. Thank you.
Now I request, thank you very much, Vivek sir. Now I request Swadesh Patnaik to give a formal vote of thanks as short as possible.
Thank you, sir. This is really my privilege to propose a vote of thanks. Actually, Sujata Mangaraj, Professor Sujata Mangaraj was to speak, but she is not well. So I was asked to do substitute her. Well, we have got a distinguished panelists, those who are role model in their own way, and then they are achievers. They are their deliberations today, their presentation today, lifted the discourse on gender specific to a new level. And also this has made this think tank program as a flagship program. Thank you very much, madam. I can't ask you individually, thank you individually because the time is short. Thank you very much. Then I must thank General Mahapatra for his military type organizing the things. And then he has looked into every nut and bolts of this program, very much involved here. And then thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And then I must thank K. Roy. He was actually, he took the baton from SB Mishra as the chairman. And then recently he offered his resignation, though it has not been, the final decision has not been taken. It is under consideration, but he has offered his resignation last year. And he has, with his presence here, with his encouraging words, really we are very much delighted. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And then, you know, Vivek Patnaik, as usual, he's our friend, guide, and philosopher. And I must say that COVID-19 has got a colossal advantage for the think tank because he's available in India only for that. And then most of the time outside. Leadership or money. So thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your presence here. And then Dr. Tomotia, I can't miss his name, because he is the person who has actually organized the think tank besides Dr. SB Mishra, and he provided the hospitality, he provided the logistics support. Now he's the thing, Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan is providing the this is platform, this is what is this, this internet platform, all these things they are providing. Thank you, they are all, thank you very much. And again, I must thank Swarup for his, for co-hosting so well, and most importantly, last but not the least, Vijaya Madam. Vijaya Madam's volition in this, organizing this, her efficiency, her sincerity, I'm really amazed for that. Thank you very much. You conducted exceedingly well. Thank you very much. And thanks everybody, those who have joined here, including the students. And I must thank Malay Mishra and the others who had who are interested in taking part of it. Though due to want of time, he could not speak, but very apologies, sir. And then I thank everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Swadesh. Thank you very much. We do not want to disappoint totally Malay Babu. If you want to do 2 minutes, please. 2 minutes, please. Then we'll conclude. We'll close the meeting. Malay Babu. Oh, he has left. Well, thank you very much all. I request all people to unmute, and Swadesh, please unmute everybody. We want to felicitate all the panelists who are icons, who are role models, who are legacy by themselves. So all of us, we join together to felicitate and clap and convey our regards.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to everybody.
Thank you.
It's an excellent deliberation, excellent webinar.
Thank you.
Excellent deliberation. Thanks to all madams who have spoken very well.
Okay. So now we'll, excellent. We'll look forward to Nari Shakti again.
One request.
We'll have another webinar. We'll have another webinar.
Exactly.
With this, the meeting is closed. Thank you very much. God bless. God bless. Thank you. Namaskar. Namaskar.
Namaskar. Namaskar. Namaskar.
Namaskar.
Namaskar. Namaskar. Vijay madam, namaskar.
Namaskar.
Thank you. Thank you.
Vivek, namaskar. Swadesh, namaskar. 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 Madhuspita madam, namaskar.
Namaskar. Namaskar.
Colonel Mahapatra, you have conducted so nicely. I must congratulate you. Nuva Varsha Shubhakamna Samastingi. Everybody spoke well. And that is
everybody has spoken very well, very well. Actually,
I seek forgiveness for stopping people, not allowing them to speak. I will seek forgiveness.
Very well. Very well it is organized, sir. Very well it is organized.
We have taken
New Year.
1 hour.
Sir, New Year kick-started with women power. New Year kick-started with women power. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Namaskar. Namaskar.
Namaskar. Namaskar. Namaskar.